How well do you know your five closest friends? Do you know where they are and what they're doing right now? You might, but do you know how they're feeling or if they're looking to buy a certain product? Probably not, but their phones know all this and can predict even more about them. Smartphones constantly collect user data, which can be used to predict behavioral patterns and symptoms, and is often sold to advertisers with or without user consent. I'm a computer science major specializing in cybersecurity, and I have done additional research for this speech. Today, I'd like to inform you about data collection and distribution done by cell phone carriers and mobile applications, how this personal data can be used by third party entities, and what smartphone data can tell us about ourselves. There are an almost countless number of ways a smartphone can gather data, and there are many different types of data that can be collected. In Martina Savali's 2014 article titled Re-Engineering the User, Privacy Concerns About Personal Data on Smartphones, which was published in Information and Computer Security, Volume 23, Savali describes data as falling into several main categories. These are messaging data, which includes emails, text messages, and more, device data, such as contacts, images, and device serial numbers, SIM card data, application data, which is all the data necessary for apps to function, usage history data, like call logs and browser history, sensor data, including the GPS system, microphone, camera, accelerometer, and many more sensors embedded on your phone, and user input data, which includes everything you do to interact with your phone, such as double taps, press and holds, and physical button presses. Most of this data is necessary for the smartphone to be able to function as the user wants, and for the phone to be able to communicate with the internet and the carrier network. These sensors and other components are constantly taking in data about the phone, network, and its surroundings. The microphone is a great example of an input device that is almost always monitoring its surroundings. For example, the microphone allows Google's Google Assistant, Apple's Siri, and other voice-activated artificial intelligence to respond to users with only a simple voice command with no other input. While we're on the topic of third-party software, let's look at what applications can collect from smartphones. Data collected by smartphones is shared between the phone, carrier service provider, and many third-party entities such as mobile applications, advertisers, and data banks. Many applications store users' location data to sell to advertisers later. As stated by Dr. Matthew Hetrick in his 2015 article, Data Privacy Regulation in the Age of Smartphones, the popular mobile application Angry Birds stores users' location data so they can be targeted by advertisers at a later date. Many users have no idea exactly how much data each app can access. Martina Savali also states that many Android applications do not have an option to negotiate the permissions each app has, and if developers want to support early versions of the Android operating system, the apps must request access to sensitive device information like the serial number of the SIM card, since such permissions were given to applications by default in early versions of Android. Some companies may also use location data to target certain people with advertisements or other messages. In her 2019 article titled, Is the Grass Greener on the Other Side of the Geofence?, Dr. Kirsten Wesner defines geofencing as a location-based tool targeting users of internet-enabled devices such as smartphones in a predefined area. The retail company Target uses this technology to send messages regarding deals to nearby users who have the Target app installed, Bluetooth enabled, and are opted into the program. However, not all geofencing is as transparent as most people would like it to be. Wesner also describes how in 2015 and 16, a company called Copley Advertising used geofencing to send messages to abortion-minded women who had spent time in or around various medical facilities. Keeping in mind that advertisers can profile users to send more personalized messages to them, what else can data collected by smartphones tell us about ourselves? With the combination of personal information and location data available to advertisers and third-party entities, artificial intelligence can monitor behavioral and sleep patterns and might possibly even be able to determine whether or not an individual has depression or depressive symptoms. In a 2019 study done by the University of Connecticut, researchers used both smartphone applications and university network infrastructure to monitor students' location data to help determine if they showed symptoms of depression. Students who were diagnosed with depression showed less time spent moving, less distance traveled, and fewer unique places visited than their classmates without depression. Another 2019 study done by Talia Aledavud, published in Current Psychiatric Reports, used smartwatches to help track sleep in depression and other psychological disorders. Smartwatches show great potential to be personal health monitors because of their ability to monitor heart rate, heartbeat, location, sound through embedded microphones, and many more things. By monitoring behavioral patterns such as movement and sleep quality, doctors can help better understand mental illness and help detect and treat them more efficiently. There is a large amount of data that is stored by mobile devices, and protections need to be put in place. With all this information that mobile devices can protect on about an individual, the government has yet to fully address mobile data privacy as its own issue. Several acts have been implemented to help protect users online, but none deal directly with the personal data stored on mobile devices. According to Dr. Hetrich, the Federal Trade Commission, or FTC, is an independent agency in the United States charged with protecting consumers against unfair commercial practices. The FTC has enacted several acts dealing with unsolicited pornography, fraud, and children's privacy online. However, none of these acts cover data collection done by mobile devices and the privacy that surrounds personal data on mobile devices. In the Supreme Court case, Riley v. California, in 2014, the Supreme Court ruled that the seizure of a cell phone without a warrant during an arrest violated the implied right of privacy that's in the Constitution. This shows that the government is aware of the importance and sensitivity of personal data stored on smartphones. In conclusion, you should be aware of who and what can access your private information. I hope you've learned something about the personal data collected by mobile phones and applications and what it can be used in you. Now, do you still think you know your friends as well as their phones do?